So now that we understand clauses, let's look at the 3 sentence types. The first sentence type is easy. It's so easy that scholars back in the day decided to call it a simple sentence. Why? Because it's really simple. A simple sentence only has one independent clause. So it has just one. Only one. Uno. Un. Just one. Not 2, not 0, but 1. So let's look at a simple sentence. Kevin Hart is a great comic. Kevin Hart is my subject. Is a great comic is my verb. One independent clause. Perfect. Let's move on to the second one. The second one's easy as well. All you're doing is taking 2 independent clauses and bridging them together. That's why we call it a compound sentence. Now, VIP number 4. A compound sentence is typically joined by a comma followed by a coordinating conjunction. That's how you take 2 independent clauses and fuse them together. Now, when you take all 7 coordinating conjunctions and jumble them up to form a word, you get the word called fanboys. For and nor, but, or, yet, and so. Once again, you want to know more? Look and click on the link for the extension sheet below. So let's look at how it works in the puzzle metaphor we've been using. So I have 2 independent clauses. So I have my first independent clause, followed by my comma, and then I need to join it with another independent clause. Therefore, I'm going to take one of my coordinating conjunctions to put between the 2. And then I'll follow it up with my second independent clause and, of course, my proper punctuation. So let's see what it looks like actually written out. The Dallas Cowboys are a great team, comma, but the Tennessee Titans are better. So, the Dallas Cowboys are a great team, period. That's my first independent clause. Where's my second one? The Tennessee Titans are better. That's my second independent clause. But I want to join these 2 sentences together. So I need to take a comma and a coordinating conjunction, but to join them together. The Dallas Cowboys are a great team, comma, but the Tennessee Titans are better. Compound sentences, simple sentences. Simple sentences have 1 independent clause. Compound sentences are 2, and you fuse them together by using a comma and a coordinating conjunction. And the last type of sentence is a complex sentence. It's probably the hardest out of the 3. And also, VIP number 5, it's the most commonly used and misused. Typically in our writing, we always write using complex sentences. However, we typically do not punctuate them or join them together in the correct way. Now, a complex sentence is complex because it has 1 independent clause and 1 dependent clause, and VIP number 6, it's 1 sentence type that you can write 2 separate ways, depending on what kind of mood you're in. If you're in a crazy mood, you can write it this way. You could have your subordinate conjunction. Remember, every dependent clause starts with a subordinate conjunction. You could have that. You could have your dependent clause come first. But when you do that, you always have to have a comma to separate it or join it to the independent clause. Remember, a dependent clause is like that inside puzzle piece, meaning it needs things on either side of it in order for it to fit and in order for it to make sense. It's not like the dependent clause corner puzzle piece. So, you got something on one side, which is a subordinate conjunction. On the other side, you have the comma that helps it bridge to the independent clause. Or look at it like this. Look at it in the standpoint of a husband and wife. A wife, a dependent clause, will not join with a husband, an independent clause, unless there's a ring involved, aka the comma. So let's look at the first way to write it, where the dependent clause comes first. Because Jeffrey budgets his money, comma, he is not affected by the government. Let's break it down. Because Jeffrey budgets his money. Now, if we just stop there, I need a little bit more. By itself, this sentence doesn't make sense. It's not complete. I need to join it with an independent clause. Therefore, I need my comma, and then I need an independent clause. So, because Jeffrey budgets his money, comma, he is not affected by the government. Because is my subordinate conjunction. Jeffrey budgets his money. Because Jeffrey budgets his money, that is my dependent clause. And then my independent clause is he is not affected by the government. But remember, a complex sentence is one sentence can be written two different ways. Let's look at the second way. The second way is you put the independent clause first. You still have to have the subordinate clause because this is a package deal. The subordinate and dependent clause are always a package deal. They're always together. So, but this time if you notice, you don't need the comma. When the independent clause comes first, you do not need the comma. Let's look at it. Jeffrey is not affected by the government because he budgets his money. Jeffrey is not affected by the government. That's my independent clause. By itself, that sentence makes complete sense. Subject, verb, complete thought. Perfect. Because he budgets his money. What? I need something to connect to because he budgets his money. So I'm going to connect my dependent clause to Jeffrey is not affected by the government because he budgets his money. Jeffrey is not affected by the government. That is my independent clause. Once again, because that's my subordinate conjunction to indicate to me that I have a dependent clause about to start. And then because he budgets his money, that is my dependent clause.